Hello and welcome to my new space. I'm going to be decorating as I move along, but I thought I would jump into this and talk about the upcoming full moon in Taurus arriving on November the 5th. We have a lot to talk about here. Also, if you would like to skip ahead at any time or revisit this video, there are going to be timestamps below in the description area to skip ahead to the journal reflective prompts for shadow work for the full moon, as well as a general read for the energy of the full moon, and then all signs. When I end this portion of the video, before we go into the readings, I'm going to give a little bit of a disclaimer or a little bit of information about what's going to change with the all signs readings. Nothing major, just a nice little addition that I think you might appreciate. By going into now the full moon in Taurus, it is a super full moon on November the 5th. I'd like to talk about numerology before we get into the aspects of the full moon. We are, of course, in Scorpio season. As I record this video, we are rounding out a month of October, which was a universal month number 1. We are slowly moving into 2, and this is where things get really interesting, especially regarding numerology and astrology and how things are lining up perfectly as they always do. We're moving into a universal month number 2 in November. It's also an 11th month traditionally, and we're rounding out a year 9. So in November, you're going to slowly start to understand, maybe you already do understand or have already gained the insight of what 2025 offered you for deep transformation and change of any kind. Now 9, as we've been in a year 9 in 2025, this has been a year of endings, maybe deaths, maybe loss, change of career, an old version of yourself falling away. Now, I know for some of you, you may be saying, well, I've been going through this for many years now, which yes, I completely understand. But this year in particular held a very strong, potent aspect for death, and then we're going into rebirth in 2026. Especially now pairing with Scorpio. So we're transitioning out of a year 9 slowly, November, end of November, going into December, you're going to start to see the transitionary phase of death and rebirth. Now this lines up with Scorpio, Ophiuchus, if you want to consider that archetype or not. And I look at archetypes for our evolutionary process. So it's not traditional astrology over here, although I do touch on some things. I'm not an astrologer, so before everyone starts to get offended that I'm talking about Ophiuchus, I'm simply talking about it because the archetype and the meaning behind it offers significant insight into the process of death and rebirth, the process of evolution. So I'm going to be adding that into my work so that we can understand this very important phase that we need to develop awareness around for greater self-development, for greater growth and awakenings, right? So Scorpio, Ophiuchus, Sagittarius. Now, very, very representative of what's happening from a numerological standpoint. We're rounding out a year 9, which has been a year of death, right? And death can be literal. It can be symbolic. It can be also death and awakenings, death and enlightenment. You may have had many of those cycles over the year. I mean, everyone's also on a different path, of course, but very, very significant year with that regard. Also, North Node in Pisces, and I don't think I mentioned this before, but North Node in Pisces. Pisces is very relatable to the 9 frequency, the 9 symbolic meaning in numerology. So you can think of 9, of course, again at the end, and Pisces at the end. Pisces holds some of the traits of all zodiac signs because it's the final culmination, or it's the final phase of understanding our journey, the process of development, the process of awakening, if you want to call, or soul's evolution, right? 9 and Pisces are very complementary, and having the North Node in Pisces, and I just am now seeing it, even though we're at the tail end of it, how transformative it could have been. Again, a lot of spiritual awakenings, insights, dreams, breaking through illusions, shattering illusions. There could be even, again, death in the physical aspect as well, in the realm of reality. Could be on many levels. So, as we're in Scorpio season, this is the theme of going into the underworld, meaning going into the depths of ourselves, spending time in fixed energy in the midst of fall season in the Northern Hemisphere here, where we get to settle in to our deeper self. We've already been through Libra season. We're now in the almost the thinning of the veil, end of October. And then as we move to the full moon in Taurus, we are also going to be met with a week number 9. I know, it gets pretty amazing. So we're in a week 9 during the full moon, which again is a double whammy of this theme of endings as we round out a year 9. We're going to start to see the change, we'll say gifts from the universe, or the clarity that we've been waiting for, or the illumination, or even internally feeling renewed or feeling reborn in some form is really going to start to be apparent in December. Later November, as we move into Sagittarius, or Ophiuchus, if you want to look at it that way, but then moving into Sagittarius, which is truly, it lines up so perfectly with these archetypes, right? In November, as I mentioned, we have a universal month number 2. And it's a solid 20 with a traditional 11. So basically this means we're partnering a 2, which is very complementary to a master number 11. And the master number 11 is the master visionary, but it also does relate to the 2, as the 1 and the 1 of course equal 2. So it's usually seen as an 11-2. So we have a very strong combination here of 2s and the 11, right? So 11, 2, and a month 2. I hope that wasn't too confusing. But we have essentially a very strong, especially with Scorpio, very strong ability to attune with our emotions, with our senses, and with our intuition. This is where we can deepen the relationship with those fine senses, with the inner landscape, with attunement, tuning in with our intuition, even areas of taboo and pleasures, sensuality. Scorpio is also very much tied to the intimate aspects and the taboo and the secretive aspects of ourselves, which I'll dive into a little bit more when we get into the new moon in Scorpio later portion of the month. But here we are, full moon in Taurus. Taurus opposes Scorpio in the zodiac calendar. Scorpio is the underground, the guts, the transformation, the decay. Taurus is the birth, the creation, it's the above ground, it's the formation. But we're in the shadow aspect of the full moon, or of Taurus during the full moon, which I'll touch on. We're going to look at some shadow aspects of Taurus, of how to relate it to our own inner practice, because we do have this archetype within all of us, some more than others. But these aspects are going to allow you to maybe look at some areas a little bit deeper for illumination and for release. What we're going to be focusing on here for the full moon in Taurus, especially seeing as we are rounding out, we are exiting now a year 9, moving into a year 1, which I'll talk about later on as we get closer to the date. And this full moon being in a week 9, we're going to specifically highlight the points of the guts and the deep shadow aspects that lessen your self-worth, the meaning behind shame of desire, fear of change, attaching self-worth to the material and external, buried emotional intensity, and the fear of ruin or destruction. As again, Taurus creates while Scorpio destroys. Again, both fixed elements, very hard to change. We're moving into Taurus energy, which is going to challenge our self-worth. So as we leave 9 is all about detachment, mastering the art of letting go, mastering the art of non-attachment. This is also a very significant practice in Buddhism, for example. But when we become more, I would say, liberated and more in alignment with our transcendent self, there is really no attachment to the physical world. Now, there's a fine line with that. We have to do our own due diligence, our own introspection and understanding of where we are holding on so tightly that we're actually afraid of letting go, right? It doesn't mean that we can't have physical things. It doesn't mean that we can't indulge and enjoy the pleasures of life and have everything that we want. But what's important is to understand the relationship that we have with that desire and with those pleasures. If there is resistance to letting go, if there's a fear of change, if there is a fear of the unknown, if we have placed our worth on our status, position, prestige, material possessions, belongings, this is going to be a perfect full moon to address some of those attachments as we are exiting this big monumental year 9 in 2025. And also, before we get into the shadow prompts, if you would like to further your practice, I will be uploading a full moon ritual, probably will be about an hour in length, over at the Shadow Project, where we will go deeper into the archetype. We will look into the tarot symbology. We will also work on some reflection points, and there will be 2 guided meditations to make the best of this full moon for your practice, transmutation, and transformation. The link is in the description area below, and I hope to see you there. All right, so we're going to explore the shadow prompts for the full moon. You can return to this at any time, probably closer to the full moon, so you can work this into your full moon ritual. But here we go. We're going to take a look at some of the shadow aspects of Taurus. The first one is going to be called the comfort prison. This is where we may feel very comfortable in where we are in our life and what we have. However, that comfort can also be a prison. It can create stagnation and prevent us from growth, experiencing life in new ways, and also deepening the change within ourselves. The shadow belief that can be associated with this is, if I stay still, nothing can be taken from me. Scorpio teaches in this case the necessity of death and renewal by letting old forms dissolve to make space for vitality. The next is attachment to the tangible. Taurus can equate worth with what we touch, the tangible, what we grow, what we invest into, what we feel is part of ourself. When we invest into even our body, even what we build, what we nourish, what we love, it can be also a little bit even maybe possessive in some ways, or there can be a very strong attachment to what we have invested into, that thus being part of our identity. The shadow belief in this case will be, if I lose this, I lose myself. And Scorpio teaches us the power lies in what cannot be possessed, such as intimacy, trust, and energy. The next point will be shame in desire. In the shadow aspect, there can be a great deal of shame towards pleasure and what we desire the most. There can also be a fear that we're being too needy, maybe, or too much, or that we're wanting too much, therefore placing ourselves in a state of lack or non-deservingness. The shadow belief in this case will be, I have to earn my right to feel good. Scorpio teaches pleasure as a path to transformation, as being sacred, not shameful. Another point to reflect on is emotional inertia. Even though Taurus is a very strong archetype, it can resist upheaval and emotional discomfort, such as anger, outbursts, any kind of emotion where it may feel uncomfortable expressing or uncomfortable connecting with. Therefore, it can harbor its emotions inward and be very destructive towards the self, the body. The shadow belief in this case will be, if I stay calm, I am safe. Scorpio, in this case, teaches emotional honesty as purification, allowing intensity to cleanse rather than consume. The next one is fear of ruin. Taurus desperately does not like things to fall apart, especially what it invests into. The shadow belief associated with this is, I can't afford to fall apart. And Scorpio, in this case, teaches that destruction is initiation. From loss comes deeper life. And then finally, we have scarcity and the illusion of security. As Taurus seeks lasting stability and security, there could be a shadow of wanting to hold on too much. We've already kind of touched on this, but this is almost in a way of placing security and safety into the physical realm, into material and into possessions. Security in this case then is also equal to control, right? And the fixed signs, all of them, will have an aspect of this, wanting to hold on to what is safe. And in this case, safety equals material possessions or what it feels tied to or bound to in some kind of way. The shadow belief of this is if I have enough, I'll finally be safe. Scorpio teaches in this case that true wealth flows through trust, circulation, and the willingness to release. What is hoarded stagnates, and what is shared regenerates. Looking at the shadow prompts for the full moon in Taurus will be the first one, where am I mistaking comfort for safety and holding myself back by resisting the discomfort that leads to growth? What do I cling to when I fear loss? And how does that attachment diminish my self-worth or trust in my own stability? Where do I feel shame or guilt in receiving pleasure? And how does that denial of joy cause me to forget my inherent worthiness? And then finally, where have I placed my worth in what I own, achieve, or provide? And how has that external measure caused me to forget the value of simply being? And if you would like to go deeper into your own practice and understand more about this archetype and how to integrate it into your full moon ritual, you can join us over at the Shadow Project, where I will be uploading a guided ritual for going a bit deeper into this archetype. The link is in the description area below. And now we are going to dive into the readings. Now, for the all signs, I'm adding Ophiuchus. So if you fall in the dates of Ophiuchus, you can claim the reading for yourself. It's going to be in between Scorpio and Sagittarius. But if you would like to watch Ophiuchus for yourself, no matter what zodiac sign you are, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, however you want to look at it, you can look at Ophiuchus and position it in a way. This is the sign of the healer, of the integrator, of regeneration and reclamation. You can ask your inner guidance what information you need to know for true transformation as you move into a new cycle, as you move into maybe a new rhythm. If you want deeper information, deeper insight, you can look at that particular reading as specific guidance for your growth and evolution. All right, so I'm wishing you all the best during this full moon and beyond. Until next time, see you again soon and take care. Okay, this is a really, really good reading. It's very appropriate, very on point. I'm walk you through this here. Now, the general read is looking at the general energy. Take what resonates always, leave what doesn't behind. But this is going to be very, I feel, applicable to the theme that we covered here in the general overview previously. So where should we start? Let's start with the Seven Energies Oracle. I'm looking at the shadow. So full moons, I tend to look at the shadow for the full moon so we can illuminate what's hidden, what we tend to deny, hide, etc., or just simply cannot see. And in the shadow, so I'm looking at what's hidden, what's under the surface, what's in the shadow, what aspects can we be aware of with this card, and then these placements as well. That's also going to happen or I'm also going to incorporate that into the all signs reading. And also, we have opening to discovery as the kind of in the shadow. And in the shadow, it's not just something we can't see, it's something that also can unconsciously, unknowingly drive our behavior or even perception, limit our perception. And opening to discovery is an open perception. It's being open to learning, having a beginner's mind in a way. But this is actually coming in as a very locked in, not wanting to or dismissing information, not being open-minded, not being open to discovery. And this could fall under a shadow aspect of Taurus in a way of, again, these fixed signs generally have components of not being, it takes a while to open up for fixed signs. Now, even if a fixed sign is very easygoing and very open, there still could be in the undercurrent of self a hesitation or a block to integrate the lessons or integrate the information or reflect on the information that's been given to them. So there's something of a block here. Maybe perhaps it's an invitation to be open to discovery. And being open to discovery is in many different layers, levels. You can take it as it resonates for yourself. But there's some kind of block, and it's going to come through here. And I feel it's fear. I feel there's fear maybe, or apprehension of what one may find if they open that door, if they unlock something within themselves. And that's very common. That is what a lot of people, why people resist shadow work and resist the uncomfortable aspects of self. You know, even though it is the key to our growth, we can often deny it. We can unconsciously, unknowingly avoid it altogether. The guidance through this 22 master number, tender embrace. And I also should mention the full moon falling on the 5th is also a very, very important number to be aware of. It is of change. So this full moon, if we grab hold of it, can be that catalyst for us to consciously work through the year 9. I really feel this Taurus, full moon is allowing for us to work through as almost like a final push through a very big transformative year. And the guidance through this is compassion. It's compassion. It's the mirroring effect. We just came out of Libra season. It is the compassion that you have towards yourself is the compassion that you will have towards others. So start with yourself first. Be compassionate to yourself. Be nurturing to yourself. And how can you see that in others? How can you see that relationship or honor or nurture that relationship with others in that same frequency, in that same way that you treat yourself? So something around becoming more tender with yourself, becoming more gentle with yourself, and also as a reflection also in your relationships, seeing how it can reflect in relationships. I should mention bottom of the deck is also higher, there's Call of the Muses under there, a higher view. This is looking at your life from a higher vantage point, there's an owl there, and owls are about seeing clearly, seeing laser sharp clearly with the senses. So there could be something here if you are feeling unsure about your direction or life or where things are going. Try to view from the higher vantage point of, an enlightened view. It's a bit of hangman energy, right? Soaring above your timeline, soaring above the problems and challenges, and look at what has been unfolding over the last year. It's a really great time now as we round out this year to reflect on what has happened and where it's taking you, because the year 2026 is going to be a big catalyst year. Now, work through your fears. This is the shadow. This is the shadow message. Scorpio is coming through here. Work through your fears, right? We have new moon in Scorpio, though, end of the month. This is leading us into that new moon in Scorpio, but we're in Scorpio season. This is the axis that we're in, the Taurus, and Taurus is coming through here as well with the Queen of Pentacles. But work through your fears is in the shadow with the High Priestess and the moon. It was just so perfect. The High Priestess and the moon coming in through the shadow message, right? The High Priestess, we're in a month 11 and universal month number 2 in the year 9. Wow. Like big, deep, psychic energy, deep intuitive energy, and the moon in the shadow. Well, this is the true scorpionic full moon in Taurus combination in the month of a 11th month and a universal month number 2 in a year 9. I mean, wow, this is it right here. This is the shadow. Is you need to walk through your fears, be open for discovery, listen to your intuition, deepen the connection with your senses, and dive into the unseen, into the illusions, into really, I would say, challenge yourself if you can. Spend time. I feel this is going to be a very sacred full moon to work with for your practice. You have here your guidance. Expect powerful change. Oh God, this reading is amazing. Expect powerful change. This is your guidance, okay? Expect powerful change. Your guidance is, what are you afraid of? What kind of big change and big version? I don't even mean to say big, but it's going to feel big. What part of yourself are you most afraid of? What are you afraid of when you speak your truth? When you try something different? When you access a different part of yourself that you haven't accessed before, or that you've been suppressing or holding off? Lean into it and feel the potential of what it is that you're running away from, hiding, suppressing, not allowing to come to the surface, your authenticity, your power, your truth. Could even be sexual energy. You know, we got this going on in this polarity or axis. So let's see, Page of Swords, Two of Swords as guidance is being very clear with what you want and who you are, and how maybe you want to express your truth, or how you want to deliver your information, yourself, your knowledge, how you want to talk. It could be in any area of your life, relationship, work, career, same thing. Yeah, something around new clarity, new insight, and new communication. Expect powerful change because it's a new version of yourself that's going to come through this, or I feel that is being asked for, or something. And the Two of Swords, putting things on hold. Something needs to be thought through, and this is very important. Don't rush, don't push, don't make a quick decision right now. We're in fixed energy, right? But think through. And something around, I feel it's around these messages about authentic self, you know, being true to you. A lot of the videos that I upload, I actually have to say, the videos that I upload here on YouTube, I have a bit of a list, or actually quite a long list, but I go with how I feel, or what I feel needs to be talked about. I don't have a structure. When I upload videos, it usually, I see it happens for a reason. And I see it usually comes out, the message comes out in many different ways with what, what people are talking about, or what might show up in my own personal life, or definitely a theme of the season, the zodiacs, etc. So maybe watch some of the videos around speaking your truth, or being too much in the mind, and something around working through your fears to connect more with your psyche, your intuition, your feelings, your senses, breaking through illusions and fears, is going to be one of the big ones here. Okay, so what this is giving you, or where this is taking us, collective reading energy for main energy. Your hard work is paying off. New moon in Capricorn, the Hermit, Two of Pentacles. We have the Queen of Pentacles with the Eight of Fire, Taurus here, Eight of Fire underneath. So I'll get to that in a moment. What's coming after this full moon is a new opening. This is going to be reflective of the one energy moving into 2026. We're going to feel it later portion of the month of November, moving into December. You're going to see there's going to be a break energetically, career-wise, personally, physically, materialistic, all of it, because of what you've been investing into. There's going to be a break. There's going to be a yes, okay, finally I get to see where this is taking me, or I've been waiting so long for this thing to move, and now it moves. You might have a lot to juggle. Be very cautious of that. The Hermit is I feel it's not going to drive people into Hermit. I feel it's coming out. I feel it's coming out of a time of being in and doing the hard work and investing in self. And there may be a lot to juggle. So be aware of that. Be aware of how you are positioning yourself now in case things get busy, or even how to manage multiple things so that you're not drowning, so that you're not, underwater. The other alternative is, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It might be time to commit to something. So you have the Two of Swords, Two of Pentacles here. So there might be a little bit of flakiness. Just be aware of that. Scorpio or Taurus do not like flakiness whatsoever. You're all in or you're all out. And that is the season we're in, where you're in or out. There's no in between. So you commit or you know, find something else. And that's sort of, I feel what this is. It's like there's something here coming in that may ask you to fully commit to. Maybe there are a couple things. Maybe there's more than one again. Again, Taurus here, Queen of Pentacles, 8 of Fire underneath it, 5 of Swords, and Page of Cups. What's coming in, universal energy, Queen of Pentacles, being very resourceful, fixed energy, anchoring into resources, financial savings, being very smart, even investing into the body. This groundedness is opening up. I feel resolution to something. 5 of Swords to the Page of Cups. What's underneath it? Yeah, death. That's what I thought. Death. There's some kind of apology or some kind of healing that's coming through. The Page of Cups, I feel in this case, is healing or an apology that's going to end a significant chapter or put something to rest. I feel the conflict might come through, but it may also be something of the past where an old conflict might, for some, find its way. But it's something, I feel there's been a lesson here in some way where if you feel all of a sudden more responsible or, you know, I got to get my shit together. I have to get a little bit more responsible here. And you ground in, that's when movement or even your value, your self-worth anchors in. Boom, you get the 8 of Fire, like new opportunity, communication, maybe even moving for some of you. But I don't think it's going to come with a 5 of Swords. I feel this is something is healing or finding its way out of a lot of aggravation and a lot of inner conflict or external conflict. Also, the animal spirit here, surrender now, moth spirit for the animal oracle. 39. Okay, so surrender now, moth spirit is all about, it's transmuting through the dark night. And that is very, very, again, very symbolic of where we're at. All right. I'm wishing you, again, all the best. Let's move into the zodiac signs, all signs. I'll see you over there. Okay, here we go. We are looking into all 13 signs. Again, we are adding in, or I'm adding in Ophiuchus right here as additional, an additional reading. You can claim it as your sign if you fall into the dates of Ophiuchus. If not, you can still watch Ophiuchus. We're going to treat this as a bit of a kind of like an extra bonus or wild card or however you want to term it, so that we can understand this process of death and rebirth, or what you can gain out of the message here. So you can listen to this one or watch this one as well. But first, we're starting with Taurus. Have faith in your dreams, lovers, and Knight of Pentacles. Okay, this is the guidance. This is in the shadow. Have faith in your dreams is in the shadow. Some of you may be losing faith in something. You might be doubting yourself. You might be wanting to give up. You might be feeling cast adrift. You do have the butterfly, which represents transformation. Your guidance is lovers and the Knight of Pentacles. Now, two things here that could be coming through with this message is something around a relationship, but lovers in essence is about choice and the choices we make based on our own values, Taurus, our sense of self-worth, and the values that sorry, I need to say this again. The relationships that we have or the choices that we make based on the value we have for ourselves, being open to experiencing those through others. So it could be also a relationship here, a love relationship for some, very much about commitment and investment, Capricorn, Knight of Pentacles, right? So it could be an investment and commitment into your own self-worth and your own value, which is part of the message of this full moon. Investing into what was the new moon in Capricorn was in the general read, right? Your hard work is paying off. So some of you may be welcoming in a relationship that is matching your value of self, or you are investing into your self-worth and the value of yourself, your value. Yeah, I would just leave it there. I'm not going to keep beating that one up, but I feel it's something around investing and committing to change with the Knight. So committing to change in that domain. We're going into Gemini. Adjustments are required in the shadow. Six of Swords, Five of Wands. Some of you might be, I feel there's a lot of anxiety around this full moon coming in. This is a super moon, so it could be extra charged, right? But adjustments are required. There may be frustration about, like, for some of you, if you've been making a lot of change or going through a lot of change, you might be frustrated about more change coming in. Something is really required for you to let go and leave something behind, like letting go of the drama, letting go of trying to fix or help people or solve problems or be the go-to person or whatever it is. Maybe there are no boundaries. Maybe there is a lot of drama here, right? And adjustments are required is in the shadow. So something on your side, you need to get real about something that needs to change and for you to move on, to not give your energy to this anymore. So I hope that resonates for Gemini. Cancer, don't let your pride get in your way, Leo. Okay, some of you might be sabotaging yourself in some form. Don't let your pride get in your way with Leo full moon. There may be ego at play in some way, wanting to admit that you're, when pride comes in, it's that we're hiding a truth or we're hiding a vulnerability because we want to show up with a certain persona, that maybe we have it all together, that we're successful, that we're this, that we're that, like whatever it is. Or maybe even not asking for help, for example, doing it all on our own. The guidance here is to master your craft. Don't let pride get in your way. Master your craft. It's almost, I feel too, there could be a level of perfectionism here. So just be aware. Are you wanting things to be perfect? Can you be more fluid and flexible with what you are doing, with how you're showing up, with relationships, with what you're investing into, with what you're working? There's something about working and mastering your craft, but I feel there's a need for fluidity. I'm looking at the water more than the swords, than air, which is interesting. I feel like there's something around getting in touch with your essence of water, with the flow of water, rather than getting in the way, like rather than stopping things, rather than putting things on hold or avoiding, because it's emotionally uncomfortable. Don't let your pride get in your way. There's something of a self-sabotage. You're getting in the way of something, essentially, is what I feel here. So that could be a shadow work component. Leo, your hard work is paying off in the shadow. 5 cups, Ace of Cups is your guidance. Ooh, this is healing the heart. Your hard work is paying off. Either one of two things. Either some of you have been working too hard. You may have been putting your focus on money so much that there are disappointments. It's like maybe you feel behind. Maybe you haven't been able to get to where you want to be. Maybe you've been putting so much pressure on yourself to create income and financial worth and status and results, and it's just not happening because you're missing the point of where you're at, is what this is saying. You're dwelling too much on what hasn't happened or what hasn't worked. The Ace of Cups is what you have to look at. You have to look at yourself and your life a bit differently, and maybe relationships around you as a blessing. Things that are showing up for you that are a blessing that you haven't given the proper attention to from your heart, like a true gratitude, love, acceptance, nourishing the good rather than looking at what hasn't worked. Virgo, surrender to the divine. 2 of Cups, 7 of Cups. Okay, this full moon, super moon coming in here might bring up anxiety. You may feel the pressure to get things done. There may be even perfectionism looking at your shadow aspect because there's a lack of surrender and fluidity. But Two of Cups, Seven of Cups. I mean, there could be a relationship dynamic around you. Um, I mean, for some of you, it could be, obsessing maybe a little bit, or, well, this is your guidance. The guidance is to be very careful about reality versus your fantasy versus fantasizing in relationships. Um, in a relationship, not all relationship, is going to be one type of relationship, a very, very close, a very soulmate-y, partnership kind of relationship. Could be family even, but it's going to be a very close relationship, but it's causing a lot of confusion, fantasizing. You might even feel like very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like for some reason, an individual could create fantasizing or feeling all of a sudden distracted, or maybe there are a lot of options that you can do with this person. Maybe if it's work, maybe you have like 50 things that you can, create together. If it's a relationship, you could be going into fantasy about it and fantasizing about it. Something's causing a lot of stress about this or a lot of angst. So just be aware of bringing it down into reality and focusing on 1 to 2 things at a time, to be very clear and grounded and realistic with that relationship. Libra, fiery climax approaches Aries in the shadow. The Hierophant, the Page of Wands is your guidance. Be very, very cautious of headstrong energy. You might be feeling it during the full moon. Be very careful of how you respond to conflict during this full moon. The guidance is to use tools from your toolkit of spiritual and self-development and believe in yourself. This could also be for some of you, you might be moving into a role of being a teacher, a healer, a guide of some kind. You might be unlocking greater wisdom, or the guidance is to unlock greater wisdom and to respond to life and to maybe another person or whatever situations in a way that is true and authentic. And also get excited about where you're going. Maybe also this is like the fire that you need to get going. Maybe this is what's in the shadow. Maybe it's not so much, it could be, take it as it resonates, but this could also be, maybe it's time to embody this, like wake it up within you. Like it's time to take action. But not recklessly, of course. Scorpio, a time to give rather than take. Oh, very nice energy here. You have a lot of like new creative, inspirational stuff happening as your guidance. A time to give rather than take. Some of you might be holding back on giving and helping others. Some of you might be sabotaging it in some kind of way. I feel a lot of you have an opportunity to heal, to help, to give back to others in a certain sense, but you might be feeling like you're not ready. Or maybe you're placing levels of perfectionism on yourself or being critical towards yourself. The guidance here right now is to go. It's to just go. This Knight of Fire is kind of a little bit impulsive. Well, it's not very impulsive. Very impulsive. It is, though, to be impulsive. And what's getting in your way is you. I don't know how else to say it. Sorry if it's very direct. But you're getting in the way of something. So follow your fire and create and just go. Just go. Do what lights you up. Even if it scares you. I feel that there's something here, even a fear that can be worked through. But when you do work through it, you're going to have more confidence and you're going to understand something more about yourself through the process. Ophiuchus. This is Ophiuchus. Okay, so this can be seen by everyone here. It also can be, of course, for the sign if you claim it as yours, as Ophiuchus. We are looking here into a deeper aspect of the transformative process. So coming out of death to reclamation and rebirth. This also can be seen as integration. Your dreams need a practical plan. You get the full moon in Taurus. Look at that. How beautiful is that? That's so auspicious and magical, and I love it. Your dreams need a practical plan is in the shadowy aspect. It's something that needs realistic, grounded attention, to be real about your career, finances, maybe your body, the physical aspects of growth and value. You can incorporate value into this, and this is going to be part of your rebirth. This is going to be part of the rebirth process, reclamation process. This is going to carry you through Scorpio season out into this next phase, very symbolic of where we're at with numerology and astrology right now lining up. Your guidance is to be very, I mean, there could be many messages with the Five of Swords. I feel it's something around whatever you can do now to clean up, if it is make amends, any kind of karmic ties, any maybe apologies, sorting out relationships or letting it go to free up space within yourself. Maybe there's some deep work around healing, forgiveness, cutting attachments, healing it within yourself, forgiving another person, letting it go so that you can get ready to make a move. The Chariot. It's for you to liberate yourself and free yourself so you can go. So you can be in balance, restore your balance, and prepare for movement, prepare for a new chapter. Sagittarius, we have a romantic cycle begins in the shadow. The Knight of Cups and Death coming in as guidance. One second. Okay. Sorry, I thought I heard someone in the driveway. So we have, okay, Sagittarius, a new romantic cycle begins. There could be an imbalance with a relationship, imbalance within self. And check to see. It's going to be regarding the heart and even the relationship with self. Speaking from the heart, connecting with the heart. Maybe a block in there is going to have to do with, I feel it's within yourself, and it could obviously be reflective in relationships, but there's an imbalance, a new romantic cycle. Maybe some of you are longing for love, but something needs to die off from the past. Like an old cycle hasn't ended yet. So something needs to be really released during this full moon so you can have closure. And it's going to be deep, I feel, with this, with water and Scorpio energy here, with death. Something around so you can reclaim love, so that you can open your heart and be vulnerable. So yeah, it's something to do with healing your heart, restoring balance, maybe coming to peace with something, so that, yeah, it's allowing for something to be restored for you first, I feel. Capricorn, you get the full moon in Libra. Win-win outcome in forecast, Hermit and Temperance as your guidance. Win-win outcome. You need closure in something. There's something that you haven't been able to either let go of or find closure with, and it's creating a lot of imbalance within yourself. Very kind of similar to Sagittarius. I don't know if you have Sagittarius in your chart. I would watch that as well if you do. But a win-win outcome, full moon in Libra, shadowy aspect, imbalances, holding on, or something weighing on you, like the scales. If there is something of the past that has come to a close, either you're waiting for it to close, there isn't the closure for you to move on yet, so you haven't been able to open your door for another experience of maybe the same or similar. So there's something, a win-win outcome is like one door closing, another door opening, but it's just not happening right now, or you're not letting it happen. The Hermit is your guidance, and Temperance, Virgo, Sagittarius. Your guidance is to go within and search and seeking, get real about this, about what needs to be faced so that balance can be restored within you. And Temperance is giving this time and patience so that you can see clearly, so that you can understand this more. You're going to gain a lot out of this, I feel, whatever this is. It's very important for you, I feel. Okay, so we're looking at Aquarius. Work through your fears in the shadow, Scorpio. 3 of Pentacles, 4 of Cups in your as guidance. Work through your fears. That's your shadow. Well, that's easy. Your shadow is your fear. What's in the shadow is you're avoiding something. You're not maybe wanting to face something. yeah, use this full moon to get real about it. And the guidance here is other people are around you to help you. And maybe your fear is to ask for help or to, there's a lot of like waiting emotionally, melancholy, taking your time emotionally is the guidance also. Three of Pentacles. Something around the right fit, finding the right fit or waiting for the right time for you to work, for work to come in. It's like your right team, the right team and the right group for you is coming in. So take your time, but don't let time be your enemy and think that time is against you, because it's not. There's something in the background that's working out its form so that you can have your people, work with your people, your team. So take your time, like sit and I don't know how to say this. I'm like having a hard time with words, but it's something around letting time reveal. But through the uncertainty, you might be tested with your fears might be coming up. It might even be triggering self-worth or discomfort, fear of the future, etc. But it's for a reason. There's something else going on in the background that you can't see right now. Who are we at? Pisces. Confidence is your key to success. You're lacking confidence right now. You're feeling discouraged. Something needs to heal with the Three of Swords. Letting go of, I feel there's like a reoccurring, okay, this could go very deep for some of you, where if you're doubting yourself, or if you're all of a sudden you lost your confidence, or you're doubting your abilities, your self-worth, your path, your own expression of self, you're slinking back, you're kind of crawling back into something. It's bringing up something that you need to face to work through so that you can have this in all of its full glory. The new moon in Leo, there's something being activated during the full moon so you can work through it, and so that you can let go of the burdens and the maybe even working too hard, and maybe you're working in a way that isn't working. Maybe challenge the way you're working, challenge the relationship behind your work, the reason, the why behind the way you're working, or the burdens you're carrying, or the pressure you're putting on yourself. Maybe there's a story there that needs to be looked at. And finally, Aries. Balance spirituality and practicality during the full moon. Some of you might be in one or two of these realms too much. You might be too much in the spiritual and missing the practical. You might be too much in the practical and missing the spiritual. There's an imbalance here that needs to be restored. Given that as Taurus, you might want to look at the practical, maybe self-worth and finances and the relationship with pleasure in the material world, body, maybe enhancing some of these areas of your life, or looking at the spiritual. Are you dismissing the connection with your higher self? Your guidance right now, it's going to be in the spiritual. I feel if this resonates with you, you might be disregarding the relationship with your spiritual self, with your higher self, I should say, maybe, if it's resonating. This guidance here is the water and fire. So it does represent more in the realm of the spirit, energy, and water emotions. And these water is also connected with our intuition. Your guidance here is for some of you, something around being in the foreground in some kind of way as a healer, mentor, guide. This is what you're meant to do. It's time to be seen. It's time to put yourself out there. It's time to live more authentically and live more radiantly and optimistically. Is optimistically a word? That sounds weird. Yeah, King of Water, Pisces, a lot of Pisces energy here. Maybe you have Pisces in your chart. But a lot of you here, it's something around Aries. It's something to do with you moving into a matured emotional state of being, and being more connected with your emotions and being able to hold the space for others, while also being out in the foreground, being seen, being maybe even inspiring others, but through your optimism and through your beauty and your grace. Okay, that is it. That is all. Thank you very much for joining. Wishing you a beautiful full moon ahead. Until next time, take care.